Welcome to the Hall of Fame podcast, your local source for the 2024 Philly season, where you get hot takes from even bigger idiots than you find on local media. And now your idiots, I mean hosts, Chris Buzzy Lahiff, Jeremy J.V. Vroman, and Keith Darth Pooh Newman.
Gentlemen, good evening.
How are you?
Living the dream. Thank you very much.
Good.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Hall of Fame Club podcast. I am one of your great-looking hosts, Keith Newman. I have with me JV and Chris Fuzzy Lahiff. Gentlemen, how are you? Are you feeling great? It's Thursday night. You feeling great?
Sure, absolutely.
Are you ready for like baseball to get like lost in it? Like not sure if you're crashing on the couch at night, falling asleep to a game, or just trying to hang in for a West Coast type thing. Are you ready for that like long haul? It's the season's 162, y'all.
Yeah, listen, I try to watch as many games as possible for the Phillies at least. You know,
how many games did you miss last year? Let me put Batman over here. What for people who are going to be listening to this, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But let's just put him down. All right. So how many games last season? Let's fun question. How many games did you think you caught last year?
If I'm probably guessing, probably about 120. And the ones I missed were West Coast.
Okay, JV, what do you think you're sitting at for the 2023 season?
I was probably around 80 to 85, somewhere around there, with at least counting partials, because there was times you got to run out and miss the day games. The day games were probably the harder ones to catch.
But I would just throw it on at work. It was great. Just throw it on my phone on YouTube TV and just like kind of like carry it around, like
Exactly.
It's kind of I love it. Those are some of the nice because your day sucks, right? Your day is sucking, and it's just like whatever. And all of a sudden, Schwarb's got a lead-off home run, and you're like, "Oh, this is great, good stuff."
Yeah. Same thing. YouTube TV, courtesy of the Newmans, and just watching it. I'll have it on in my office. I might not be watching it, but I have I'm at least listening to the background, so that's good. So, but I'm old. It's hard to stay up on those 10:30 games. Although I feel like I did catch a little bit more games last year that were on the West Coast due to the pitch clock. So, you're not staying up till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Crazy. I think of all the games I missed, I maybe caught about 5 of like the 20 West Coast games or something like that. The late ones, right? The late ones. So I they were really hard for me to do. But I think I want to say I was up there, 130, 135. I mean, I was texting you almost every single night. Like, we're just going back and forth. My dad's pretty savvy with baseball, so he's also grumpy. If you noticed, like he's always arguing with us about something. Like he's like, back in your day, there was no such thing as like athlete safety. Like you slap some salve on whatever was ailing you and you kicked them out there. He was making $10.25 a day. Anyway,
their gloves were made of plastic.
Question for you though: is that grumpiness a family trait, an inherited trait?
Your mom is lovely. I've met her. She's a wonderful person.
What's funny is you talk about old time baseball, and I texted you guys the stat. I think it was today or yesterday about Babe Ruth, how he didn't win the MVP when he set the record for 60 home runs in a season, and the fact he won the MVP once in his career because back then you could only win it once, which is bananas. Like if you're the best in baseball, that's insane.
What do you think Babe Ruth's record is of getting a win and then also staying up past 4 a.m. that same day and going out and playing a day game? Like, how many times do you think he did that?
All the time. All the time.
Well,
Every
to be
day?
fair, they didn't really have a lot of lights back then, so he had mostly day games. So
Right.
He had
Right.
all night. to
So he
be
had like
out,
6
and then-
hours sleep.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying he was partying so let's say the game ended at 6:30, 7, dusk is hitting, so you have like a late game to them would have been like
A 4 o'clock
two,
start.
like a 2 o'clock, no, like a 2:30, 3 o'clock start. I'm sure you can look it up, Professor. I mean, I'm sure you can correct us, but I would assume before the lights started hitting the stadiums, there was, the latest a game would probably go. Games were like forever back then. Seriously, they were like 4 or 5 hour affairs. People got dressed up. Like people were in like
It was a
3
night out.
piece. Yeah. So like, I mean, you weren't going just for like, now we're like kind of in the generation of like, oh, we want a quick game because there's 162 and we have like a shortened attention span. And I get that. That's not a knock on whatever. I'm glad they're shorter. I love the pitch clock. You're never going to get me to argue it. I love it when dudes get mad over violations. It's hysterical. As a matter of fact, that's so much a entertaining part of the game. I look for it now. So I just argue. Just go ahead, argue that. Get thrown out. I don't care. Do it.
Sometimes the umps are wrong.
Well, yeah, but you say your piece. You let him know. He might give you a gimme back. Who knows? You don't get mad. You're never going to win against them. What do you think he's going? Oh, I see the error of my ways. What?
I've never seen an ump change his mind.
I've never seen an ump go, my bad. Maybe like once, like my bad, but like even then, whatever. Okay.
I've
Let's
never.
seen
Like,
it a couple
Ken-
times more. Not so much as a player yelling at him or a coach yelling at him, but they start complaining about a call, and then they'll get together and the umpires will discuss it from there. And you see him change. The whatever umpire gets convinced by the other umpires that the call was changed.
Sure, that
Yeah.
happens all the time. Yeah, sure, but it's
It
never
doesn't
like
happen.
never my bad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we live in we watched a baseball game in 1991 where Kent Herbeck pushed Ron Gant off of first base, and the umpire called him out.
That is correct.
So,
yeah. So, all right, let's hit our show because that would be super. Otherwise, you guys.
that was a good opening monologue. It was a good opening monologue. Talk about your
Monologue is
miserableness,
monologue is one. There's 3
So
of
that
us.
would have been a good dialogue.
Yeah, like I
Dia
said, it was a good
being multiple.
it was a good monologue. So shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Live
Okay.
from Philadelphia.
I agree because you probably only thought you were talking yourself, but that tracks with you. Let's talk about was there any big signings? Did we do anything meaningful this week? Look, we all
Jason Kelsey retired. Oh wait, no, this is baseball. Sorry.
Wrong.
Kind of quiet week,
His
wasn't it?
retire. It's so funny. His retiring hurts in so many ways. Like great guy, but also greatest center in the NFL. So like, you can't mourn too long because you got to kind of get to like, all right, what's our next big project? Okay. Wheeler signed for a whopping $126 million. JV, how many years? Give us the details.
All right, so it was 3-year, 126 million, which comes down to 42 million per year, starting in the year 2025.
So this is an extension, correct?
extension, yes.
Okay.
Which is that 42 mil a year is the highest annual average for an extension in Major League history. So, and he's currently on his 5-year contract, where he's getting 118 million that he signed in 2020 to come play for the Phils.
So 4 more years in Philly. How old is he going to be when he retires? Do we got that?
37.
37, yeah.
37. He is the oldest on the team right now, right?
By like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
weeks.
Wheels, right? Wheels is the oldest.
Did we
Yeah,
have it?
probably.
Yeah, he's got.
No, Nick Castellanos might be up there. Nick Castellanos might be 32.
So his current contract, which is 5 years, you said was 118. He's getting paid $8 million more to do just a little over half of that, right? Is it worth it, guys? Is this the right move?
Oh, I mean, I kind of have to agree with Topper that Topper was quoted earlier this season before he actually signed, saying about his 2020 contract. What a great contract with what he's given us. All the wins, all the innings, all the big games. He's worth every penny. And that was on his 2020 contract. So he definitely got paid because he performed well with that contract. During that same time, he was 43-25 with a 3.06 ERA. So he did it. He did exactly what they wanted him to, and they paid him to do. So,
Man,
so
you
I
got to
think even
remember,
going
he's
forward,
only
if
been
he
in the
puts
league
up
9
those
years.
numbers, what's that?
He's only been in the league 9 years.
Yeah. And he was saying
You know
that
who's
he
sick?
wants family, that he wants to get out before he's old. So, which kind of hurt. That one hurt right here because he's getting out at 37 and I'm already 42. So I guess I'm old.
Do you know who's sick about this? Do you know who's sick to their stomach about this contract? Mets
Players
fans.
Association.
PA?
Mets fans.
No,
That's
PA is great. As their membership just got one of the biggest contracts, positional contracts of history. No,
Yeah,
no, the
Mets-
PA is
Mets-
like they're head over heels over. They love this crap.
Yeah, Mets fans are sick to their
Right.
stomach because they had him.
They had him.
Yeah.
They had him.
They had him.
They made that dude. They made that dude pay for his own World Series ticket. He was on the roster, like, nah. What? Ugh. And no wonder the
Well,
Mets are paying Bobby Bonilla till 2017, 2027 or whatever it is, 2035.
The Mets are the clutchest team for the Phillies.
Yeah. Biggest
Um,
clutch gene on the Phillies roster is the Mets.
so we got wheels in the house, right? Wheels on the bus go round and round. Do you take your dice and roll them? Go for someone big, Snell, someone bigger?
Jordan
I mean-
Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery.
I say you go after either one of them, whatever one you can get.
I think Montgomery's is. I think they're going to pay him.
Yeah.
I think they're going to pay him. I know. Like we have the room for it. We have the room for a Snell. We have the room, and let's be honest, our ownership has zero issues going over the luxury cap. Like they just don't care. So to me, I love it. And if we're gonna have to secure the 5 spot, that's great for me. Does your 5 spot now change? So let's say we get a Montgomery. So Chris, we get your Montgomery. JV, we get your Snell. What does your starting 5 look like?
Those 4 and then Ranger on number 5. Can you really go wrong with Ranger at number 5?
So you
Or
got
mix it up
Wheels,
however you want with lefty righty. But those are your
Wheels.
5.
You
Come on, give me them. Wheels.
go Wheels, Nola.
Yep.
Nola's your number 2. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
No one's mad.
You go
If you find
Wheels, you
Blake
go
Snell,
Nola.
Blake Snell's the number 2.
That's not entirely true.
I think it's a fightable spot. I do. And I think they wouldn't even care so much in the rotation on how you do it. Just look at how, I think that would be situational for Topper more than anything. And that's nice to have. And sometimes guys don't mind going a day under, a day over on their rest. Sometimes they're ready and they're feeling it. Some days they're like, yeah, I could push it. And if that Topper wants to run it that way, I'm cool with it. At least it's not the stupid Girardi rule where he's got it's mandatory, can't put a dude in unless if he's seen action for 2 full days, regardless of how much action. Like those are just like old school, whatever. It worked for me in the past, and I'm gonna try it here in Philly because damn it, it works. but it doesn't really work. So,
And one of the reasons I say you put Snell at the 2 is because he's a lefty, and you go
Right.
righty, lefty,
right,
righty.
left, right. Yeah.
And then,
I would have just said Ranger. Like, I know you guys think that's crazy, but I think you need to start promoting and pushing this kid and giving him the confidence he earns, and he actually has already deserved. Talk about pressure under fire, right? He's always calm, always cool.
But you're
And
not
you
starting
owe it-
Ranger Suarez over Blake Snell.
And okay, I agree with that, but you owe it to him to not be like only looking at him your number 5. Topper messed up by yanking him, really messed up, and he owes him. He's got to get that back from him. He's got to treat him with much more respect this year. And
Well,
you
if
can't
he
just say
owes
in a
him
press
that, then what the hell-
conference. You can't just say in a press conference. I don't believe in that. You got to do it the way you coach. You have to show them the way you coach.
So if he owes him that, then what the hell does he owe Taiwan Walker?
Oh, right.
yeah, because he left him sitting on
Listen,
the bench the whole time.
Yeah.
Listen,
He owes them a little more than an edible arrangement. I'll tell you that.
Listen, and this show is brought to you by At the Bulls right now.
They can send
listen,
me one if they want to. That's delicious. That pineapple. What?
They really are.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm with you. Like the range, we all agreed last week that Ranger Suarez was pulled, way too early in his playoff games, which is fine. It is what it is. It's over with. But he doesn't owe him anything. Listen, he doesn't. I remember Ranger was out for the beginning of the season last year because of his arm. You might have had fatigue. We don't know. So to sit there and say that he owes him the number 2 or the number 3 spot, he owes him nothing.
No, I think he owes him a little more respect, and he does.
Well, that's fine.
That
Respect is keeping him on the roster.
Right.
I don't
He's
I
going to
don't
get the respect
necessarily
because
I don't
if-
necessarily agree with that statement. I think he's easily
but-
one of our top 4.
So here you go. You got Wheeler, you got Nola. Just say you signed Snell. You got Snell, you got Taiwan Walker. Those are your 4. And who's to say that Turnbull doesn't pitch lights out as a starter? And then they move Ranger to the bullpen. You don't owe these guys anything. You don't owe these guys anything. No, I'm not
Stop.
going to stop.
Stop. You do. Because you can't in one end of the spectrum say how you love the city gets behind a dude with a standing ovation slumping out, and a dude who's pitching his nuts off gets yanked in the 4th. Okay? I don't care if it's like this Game 7 in the World Series. My man was on fire. Respect it.
I'm not saying he wasn't, but what I'm saying is, if Turnbull has a great rest of the spring, they've been playing split squads games, so he hasn't really pitched.
Yeah,
to move him to the bullpen isn't a bad thing.
I want to see him in the bullpen. I want to see Turnbull dominate the bullpen. Like that was one of our pride points last year. Was our bullpen? They were clutch.
But he's not a bullpen guy.
I want to see him, man. If everyone says he's a starter one more damn time, I think
Where do you see in his career that he was a starter?
Right.
Who?
He's a reliever.
Where's that? Turnbull.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's start with last year.
His 2018 season in Detroit, game started 0.
Yeah, he's a reliever, dude.
2.
But I want him to dominate. I want him to remember we used to have the guy you could count on who went for your, if you had to make a 5th inning move, but he was usually your 6, 7, 8 guy who would come in, but he's your lights up, set him up, knock him out guy. We used to have that dependability. And it's okay. I know we're not doing the same old baseball like we used to. I'm okay with that. But I need to know he is like the linchpin of he's got the experience for it. But look at his ERAs over the years. He slides really badly. He gets in a lot of trouble.
So I don't know what numbers you're looking at, but he's played in 61 games and he started 60 of them. He's walked a lot of people.
I'm looking at
God.
MLB.com. Career stats. GS for career has
61.
it as 13.
In 2025, Turnbull was 0-2 with 3 game starts. In 2019, he was 3-17. That's a phenomenal record with 30 starts. In 2020, he had 11 starts. 2021, he had 9 starts. And he was out in 2022, and in 2023, he had 7
back
starts.
up your mic. Back up your mic. You're popping. I could have sworn he had an ERA the size of. I think he was over 5. Like, hold on, let me get it up.
He was over 5 last year.
Yep, I knew he had a terrible season last year. That's what I remember. I thought he got moved to the bullpen last year.
He only played. No, he only played in 7 games last year, so he was probably hurt.
Well, I thought they were mixing him around. That's what.
Listen, he went 3-17 and had an ERA at 4.5. That's not a bad ERA to lose 17 games with the Tigers.
Right. That just tells you that the bats weren't running, right?
Detroit.
Right. The bats weren't running. Well, I mean,
47 wins
Tigers, right. Right. Okay.
Oh my God. They had 47 wins.
So yeah, we're kind of in limbo with the 5 spot. I know that, and we're still kind of early, and I know we're getting look arounds from all the guys. But Ranger for me has really kind of I like the fact that he is really kind of dug in as a person of importance to the city and to the team right now. I like that, but I also feel like he gets disrespected a lot because they look at him and he's like super young. And there's this and that, but I've never seen anything but composure from the guy, and I was just really disappointed with Topper. I was really mad with him at the end of last season. Really mad. But I love him again, so it's okay. Do we have anything happening in spring that is going to surprise us?
No.
Do we think Kingery's sticking around in AAA? I know we had the conversation about whether he would make the team. Is he even going to be AAA?
He may.
Because your microphone will die.
I had to take him off. That was woo.
But I think Kingery is going to catch on somewhere like with a Detroit, with a Pirates team, or with I don't know who in the West is a bottom feeder. The Rockies, the Angels.
Nope, still messed up there, buddy. Yeah, I do think he'll have a job in the majors. I 100% think he will be we'll see him around. He'll be kind of like the who was that used to come around? JD Drew. We used to boo the hell out of him.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely going to happen. Kind of.
Will they boo him? I mean, is it worth it? Because JD Drew kind of like scoring the city. Kingery just didn't play well. There's a difference, like JD Drew said, I'm not playing here. This place sucks, kind of a thing, where Kingery is just didn't perform, which is a completely different world to me. It's a different mindset.
Yeah. But this is the city that had to end Dollar Dog Night because they're a bunch of savages.
Yeah.
Chris, are you back? You sound a little bit better. You also look like you're sitting there in a mugshot. Stop touching the mic. That's the problem. Like, why do you have to touch it?
I was fixing it.
No, you weren't fixing anything. That still sounds like you're a robot. But at least it's not screeching.
And now he's just going to sit there quiet.
We got a couple of people watching. If you're in the audience, it's a good time to just say if you want to chat, put up your comments. We'll read them off and we'll get them on the air here. And if you're watching from someone in our family, that's pretty sad. So Kingery, we do say Kingery's going to have a job in the majors. There's a need, I think, for someone like him who's really good at a defensive position, who just kind of lacks at the bat, and someone's going to be convinced that they can fix that. What do you guys think?
I think you're nuts.
You don't think he'll be somewhere? He's not getting kicked out of baseball. He'll
No,
catch on.
he'll be.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Like,
He'll be.
I don't
with
know.
the
I don't think he's
Rockies
going to
or
catch on anywhere.
Rockies, the Pirates. If it's a low enough contract, the Angels might take him. Marlins. Trying to think who else is some low. Detroit. The White Sox, maybe. But
I was just about to say the White Sox, but yeah, that's kind of like that could be it.
He's not going to the Marlins. The Marlins made the playoffs last year.
Yo, did you know the Marlins lost
but-
$500,000? They're the only MLB team in the negative. They're literally being propped up by the rest of the major leagues teams.
There's more people watching this show than there are Marlins games.
I give it to you.
Yeah.
So what about Pache? Will he have a job somewhere?
Oh, he's going to be here.
You're sticking with that. I don't, because I think you have. I would almost say, if you take a look at spring training data, Kingery has a better shot of being here this year. If you want to go off of that, why are you giving Pache a job? Kingery's numbers look better in spring training than Pache's.
Do you do drugs?
As often as I can, but it doesn't change the fact that those numbers are those numbers. And if you're talking about earning spots, and we have a very saturated, like kind of almost like a plethora of guys to choose from. I know you've got your favorite there, Jake Cave. I know you'd like to take him out for a steak dinner, perhaps, but this is kind of like, it's nerve-wracking, because here we are. We're 1 week into March. We're the last week of March. We need to have some sort of finalization. So as we tighten up, we're going to be coming back to this. But as of right now, I don't think any of us know what's gonna land on the plate. Does any
for one, they're not keeping a 29-year-old Scott Kingery over a 24-year-old Christian Pache, or 25.
Yeah.
I almost have to agree with him there.
And
we have the plethora in the infield, with Merrifield being able to being the guy that can float between them. But on the 40-man, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outfielders, including Pache. So if you let him go, and I think he's going to stay up to be off the bench, be that guy, and Cave is going to be the lefty off the bench.
Right. That's what it is. I mean, listen. Right. Yeah. Listen, Jake Cave is what he is. He's going to be here. He's going to get the hits when I bitch about him in the group text. It's what he does. But Christian Pache is an unrestricted free agent until 2028. They control this guy for 5 seasons. They're not going to cut him. They're not. If they trade him, they'll probably get like something not decent, but like middle tier if they're going to trade him.
Well, here we go. Kingery is hitting a 4.44, right?
Again,
he's got
guys who delivered your food this week.
2 home runs, right? He's got himself 3 RBIs, and he's 4 for 9 at the plate, 4 for 9. With 3 walks. My man's taken 3 walks, so I don't know. Kingery has done this to us before, and it's like I don't want to like put my. He was like our dollar store version of Bryce. I think we thought he was going to be like a young version of Bryce. I think we all saw that in him. I think we thought he had fire. That didn't obviously pan out, and I kind of don't. I'll say it. I was duped by Kingery. I was. So does not make me feel comfortable for how saturated the outfield's going to look. But you're right. You've got these guys who are on these unrestricted or these, league minimum jobs and these little dinky contracts. You're right. It doesn't make sense to let them go. But does your lineup change, Fuzzy, from last week? Anything that you saw different?
No, nothing changes. Just how I said, like how you guys mentioned earlier in the show, how you would set your pitching staff right, left. That's how their pitching staff is going to be, or they're the bottom of the lineup. It's going to be between Marsh and Whitfield, like who's going to be the 9 hitter, who's going to be 88 hitter. Just in my opinion.
Yeah, depending on who's on.
And the guy that he hit the home run off of, Kingery, the 1 home run. Guy's got a 6.45 ERA, so you can get 2 hot dogs with tax.
It's spring training.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark. I the only thing that gets like muddled on questioning is what does this 7-8-9 look like? And I'm not so convinced that the rotation around Harper is set in stone, but that's okay too. I'm okay with them experimenting. If they think Bohm came back with a stronger bat and he's just ready to rock it, I'm cool with it. You want to try him out in a clutch position? Do that. He kind of plays more of a clean up to the bottom half sometimes, and I'm not exactly thrilled with that because my man can hit some triples. So I would like to see him start pushing the to the upper end of the order and getting some sort of guy down there who can play a little more small ball, move guys over, or at least make something happen. All right.
Yeah, but you have Rojas. You don't need, again, it goes back to you have Rojas. You don't need Kingery for triples.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's why I'm stuck in that trap. It's like I got like a weird crush on Kingery. I wanted to, I was duped by him, man. I was duped. I thought he was going to be our guy.
I mean, you weren't the only one. I mean, listen, he started out hot. Like, it's just, he started out hot. Like, you can't.
And he had the hype. And he had the hype to boot. He had it. He had the hype coming behind it. He had everyone go like, I watch this kid. He's Bryce was into him, and everybody was like, I really dig it.
I mean,
do you think he goes somewhere and like, how mad would you be if he went somewhere and somebody did fix his swing and suddenly he became the next Chase Utley, the next power hitting middle infielder,
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that.
He's 29 years old. He's not turning into Chase Utley.
Roy Hobbs did it. You can shut your mouth. Okay.
Roy Hobbs. Well, someone better shoot Kingery then. That's the only way he's going to get good.
Greatest that ever lived. Yeah.
Listen, he had 34 doubles and four triples and 19 home runs in his second season. Of course we got hype. Of course we got hype. Like, it was like, oh yeah, like cool. And then he just forgot how to play baseball. He batted 159 in 2020, and he batted 053 in 2021. He had 1 hit in 19 at bats. 1 hit. I know I can do that.
Let's get ourselves into our hot topic of the podcast this week. We have the 2 gentlemen here before you, Mr. JV and Chris, are going head to head this week. And the topic is, if only one could go in, that would either be Chase Utley or one James Bartholomew Rollins. I have no idea if his middle name is Bartholomew.
I was like, there's no way that's his name.
There's no way that's true. However, I could have just Calvin. JCR. Oh, that's pretty dope. You could have like JC, JR. Like, yeah, you could do a lot with that, and that's like a million nicknames. That's pretty cool. And he's a pretty dope guy. You guys can only pick one, and now you have to talk. Now I have up here. I do have their stats before me, and I want to just so if you guys try to spew out anything that's ridiculous, I will call you out, right?
That is not correct.
All right. We can't be lying on here, and if I don't understand what you're saying,
What?
all right. So let's try and keep it clean.
Oh, then I'm leaving.
Do me a
Wait.
favor. Keep it clean. Don't talk about anyone's hygiene. That doesn't matter in this. I need you guys to have a good, honest to God debate here. So the floor is open. You guys get extra points for taking the floor first in the debate. Which gentleman there would like to take that?
JV, you're gonna need the points. No, I'm kidding.
No.
You go.
I don't know. I was still torn on even either one of them getting in, but I would have to say, I guess between the two, I lean more towards Rollins just because his stats tend to be above the average stats in the Hall of Fame. Like of other guys, just taking the whole Hall of Fame of hitters. Average number of hits is 23-25, and Jimmy's got 24-55. So, I think just overall his average stats outside of his home runs are above the average, and actually his home runs are right there. The average number of home runs. I was wrong. He's actually above the Hall of Fame average. So, but
What? What's that average? What's that average again?
The average home runs in Major League and the Hall is 224, and Jimmy's at 231 career.
That is correct.
So let me is this let's just round one. So to summarize, you're saying because we are looking at Jimmy as an overall player, right? Overall compared pound for pound to the other Hall of Fame inductees, he is above average in your home runs, in your hits, and what was the third stat?
I didn't give a third one.
Okay. You could have said stolen bases, sir, but I'm not going to help you with your argument at all. So, Mr. Fuzzy, could you at all?
Listen, like we had in our meeting before. I'm not putting Chase Utley in the Hall of Fame. I'm not. He was good. He just wasn't great. We had three bang out seasons. And if you notice something, his decline started when Ryan Howard's decline started.
You don't think it was injuries?
Jimmy's never declined except when he got old. So I'm not going to sit there and put Chase Utley in the Hall of Fame. I also don't think Jimmy Rollins belongs in the Hall of Fame. But as Jeremy had stated, his stats alone say he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. His stats, with the exception of his batting average, he's got better stats than Barry Larkin, plain and simple. There was also a comment that was made the other day that you think the gentleman from New York is the best shortstop ever.
We're not, sir. Don't conflate anything here. I have nothing to do with this conversation. I'm just here to moderate and make sure you stay on track.
No, because
all right.
because I'm gonna bring this up.
What?
Jimmy Rollins had more stolen bases than that guy.
What?
What do you mean, what?
Okay.
But like I said, Jimmy Rollins is a great player. He was very durable. It was the one thing in Philadelphia that he got ragged on is because he didn't run out every single play like Chase Utley did. And that's why Chase Utley is so beloved in this town, because he ran out every ground ball. He played baseball the right way, which he did. In the eyes of Philadelphia Phillies fans, he played baseball. I love them. I loved Chase Utley. Christ Almighty, my kid is named after
Prove
him.
it. Oh, okay.
Well, like,
That's
he is named after him.
and let's
And mind you, this is before they won the World Series.
let's remind everyone that the Hall of Fame is done through sports writers voting. And I will say Chase Utley endeared himself to no one. Now he has completely changed. Like, he is a brand ambassador. He is totally into it. He loves it. I think he enjoys coming to the park and doing his broadcasts on every once in a while. I think he takes like a Sunday once in a while or something. But
hasn't he been in London?
Yeah, he's been
He
doing
lives
the
on
European stuff. Yeah, he's been doing the European
He
stuff.
lives in London.
But he's been doing pretty much all of the promotional MLB stuff for Europe. Like, he's like, you know, not just the Phillies. He's like doing all of the pressers everywhere. So he's like so he is making himself available to media now. But when he was around, he just didn't want to talk to them.
Nope.
And he was pretty cold towards fans at times too. And I don't say that to knock him. I really don't. Like, if the dude wants to be left alone, I get that. I do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Phillies fans loved him for a slew of many reasons, but there are two: the championship parade and the All-Star game in New York.
Listen,
I don't
I'm
have
not-
those clips. I'm not putting those clips up.
I'm telling you right now, I am with you guys 100%. Neither one of them belongs in there. But I will say this generation, because we had a whole slew of dudes who were deleted from being able to be inducted, we don't have the best of the best. We got the best of the rest. All right. And so now those stats have obviously, those averages have dropped. JV, I'm going to say why he doesn't belong. If you take out those guys and you inserted the guys who would have made it in, is Jimmy Rollins still Hall of Fame number worthy? And the answer is no. No.
The only thing you probably would have been able to hold on to would have been stolen bases, because the only guy that's being really kept out that had a high number of stolen bases was Bonds.
Canseco was up there. Canseco ran for a big dude. He had wheels, man. I remember seeing that dude truck around the base going, holy Christ, that's like an 18-wheeler. It was also an 18-wheeler full of steroids, but nonetheless, he would truck around those bases and catch he had a couple of years where McGuire did too a little bit, right? No.
McGuire's back was too messed up.
Yeah. Right. But Canseco would kind of like do that little, holy, I can't believe this dude's stealing.
And you also got to remember, Jimmy Rollins had 46 career leadoff home runs, which is 6th in Major League Baseball history.
Yep.
Canseco had 200 stolen bases, and Jimmy has 470. But what I was saying was that you put Canseco in there, you put even putting Barry Bonds in there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to bring that average up enough that Jimmy's
Sosa, Bonds, Canseco, McGuire. What are you, nuts? Every single bases. Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about home runs. Like, because he gets in on the home run thing by like, those numbers are jacked. Like, even throwing Pete Rose's numbers in. Because what's Pete Rose's number with stolen base? There you go. Yeah, he tore around those. He played with pitchers all the time.
198.
Yeah.
He didn't. That's not a lot.
It's not. Hold on. For Pete Rose, that guy was
43 seasons.
He's how hey, how much you want to bet he's gambling again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He 24 years. He averaged 8 stolen bases a season. That's not.
Well, it was also
season, he had 20.
They were also a lot slower then. Those guys were a lot slower back in the 70s. They were not healthy, those guys. They were juicing too. It's just that they were also not working out. So what shifted is the guys who were juicing in the 90s and the late 80s, those guys were pretty much also in the gym. The guys in the 70s who were juicing were just like juicing and just still, drinking their 4 martinis after a game and not working out. So that's your big difference there.
Lou Brock, as a 40-year-old, stole 21 bases
Lou
in
Brock.
1979.
Lou Brock.
Crazy.
Yeah. So the correct answer, if you're playing along at home, is neither one of them deserves it, guys. We've tried to look at this in a very rational, reasonable way. We love the team. We love what they did for the team. It's just they don't. Wall of Fame, sure. Yeah. I think 100%. JV, do you have any objection to either one of those fine gentlemen going up on the Wall of Fame?
No, they're great Phillies. But like Fuzz said, they're both probably gonna make it because of how watered down it's become with it. Like,
yeah,
Ali still has a chance, even though he may not be liked by the writers. They still loved his on-field performance and thought it was, they thought he was an A+ when really he was putting up B+ talent. So,
well, I was reading an article. last week in the on Philly.com. This is funny because I think they're looking at Chase with these rose-colored glasses. Like they forget that almost every other day there was a piece coming out about him, like Chase Utley's a jerk. Now they're kind of like, no, it's endearing. Well, no, it's endearing because it's 20 plus, almost 20 years later, right? Almost. So like you're kind of you're rewriting your own history, because I can still go to the Google machine and pull up those articles where he was being blasted as being cold and being detached from the fandom and all that. And he doesn't have why does that could pour onto the field, on field performance. And it looks like he doesn't care about that. So anytime he started slumping, you would get those kind of reports on him. And I think that report, it was disingenuous at best.
So now
hold on real quick. This is why. So in 2005, when Chase Utley became the full-time starter, until 2009, up until his knee injury, when he came to spring training in 2010 with a knee injury, which just pissed everybody off. He averaged a 300 batting average, 30 home runs, and 100 RBIs for 5 seasons.
That's his average.
That was his average for 5 seasons. It's nice. Just listen. I'll tell you right now.
That's nice.
I'll tell you right now. If you had to give me the choice between the 1-hitter, the 3-hitter, or the 4-hitter for the Phillies from 2008 on, I'm putting Ryan Howard in before I put in any of them two. But the thing is, Chase Utley had 5 great seasons as a second baseman. Is he going to get in because of 5 great seasons? He's only won 1 World Series.
That's it. And you're getting limited by like his accolades. I think if his accolades were up there, he has no Golden Gloves. He's got no MVPs. He's got 1 championship. I don't really see him kind of having the statistics. I mean, hell, Jimmy has an MVP, right? Yeah, I think he's got MVP. I know he's got a bunch of Gold Gloves. I know he's gotten those.
I think Jimmy's got 7 Gold Gloves. He won the MVP in 2007 when he had 20 doubles, 20 triples, and 20 home runs. Well, that's what he opened.
He has 7 Gold Gloves? I think Jeter only has like 5. That's pretty good.
No, he had 4. I'm sorry.
Baseball Reference has him at 4.
4. Okay.
He's got 4.
So here's okay, here we go. Like I know Barry Larkin was like the slugger of his time, right? Like he was known as like just the machine. I could say those guys were clutch in situations, but I they weren't machines, right? And if they were, they needed a
So-
lot of maintenance at times because of injuries or like there were some downslides to it. So yeah, I don't know. Larkin was just like he just slapped the
All right.
hell out of everything.
Yeah,
So
but
you ready
who?
for
But
this?
you hold on real quick. You talk about Barry Larkin, but who were the shortstops in the NL in the 90s and 80s? It was Ozzie Smith,
Yep.
and I can't think of anybody else. Like
Hold on.
just off the top of my head,
Shortstop.
Omar
Uh, Steve-
Vizquel.
Steve Jeltz.
Omar Vizquel.
Who?
Vizquel.
Not when Larkin played. Not when Larkin played.
He was in Cleveland then.
Okay. But
All right.
here we go.
So wow,
Here,
Barry
here-
Larkin
stop,
played
stop,
18
stop, stop.
seasons.
Yeah,
Hold on,
yeah.
Barry
Larkin played
18
for
seasons. Oh, geez.
forever.
I didn't know he played that long.
Well,
Yeah.
so hold on. So did Ozzy. Ozzy was from the 70s to the 90s?
Yeah, Ozzie played ridiculously too long.
Yeah, no, Ozzy was a
And Omar
long.
Vizquel
he was-
came up in 1989.
Okay. Well, so Ozzy was like the base stealing king, that was like the guy, like he got on base, you were in trouble. Like he was
But
running on you.
Yeah, but to go back to what I was saying about shortstops I was talking about shortstops in the National League, EJV. Omar was in the American League.
Ozzy
we're gonna
Smith
get-
I
has
was saying.
13 golden gloves.
Who does?
Who?
Ozzy,
Uh,
13. Compared to Jeter's lousy 5. Wow.
so going back to the Utley
How about this?
versus
How about
Jimmy
Cal Ripken
getting
only
in.
had 2 Gold Gloves?
I mean, we knew Cal for the bat. I didn't really he was a very serviceable player. Like
Yeah.
he was defensively, he was very serviceable. I had no complaints. He was the bat guy. Like he was your stop.
So I don't know I forget how many years you're eligible on the ballot for,
Yeah, 5.
but okay. Well, Jimmy's
five-
been
I
there
think it's
for
5,
Yeah.
and then if you die, it's 6 months.
well, no, it's so the last 3 seasons, last 3 Hall of Fame, Jimmy's percentages went from in 2022 to 9.4
Yep.
to a 12.9 to a 14.8. Utley's 2024 numbers 28.8. So if you're
That makes
looking
no
even
sense.
at those trends, Utley has a better chance on the trend to get in if he keeps going up than Jimmy does.
Oh, listen. Rose-colored glasses.
That's why writers need to be taken out of the Hall of Fame.
Utley.
Oh, my
Utley.
I can't.
Mm-mm.
I am so looking forward to our discussion in July about the Hall of Fame, so that when
They need to
because-
just sit down and agree on certain stats that if you check 4 out of 5 of these stats, no matter if you're a pitcher or hitter, you can have the separate stats for them. You hit 4 out of 5, you're a Hall of Famer. Or 6 out of 10, whatever the number you want it to be. Whatever the stats you want it to be.
it's got to be
And
60%.
not stupid things like OBP plus BA batting average plus stolen bases, or whatever all these new made up stats are. Legit. Like, you get a certain batting average, you're in. Whatever, enough stats that it makes sense that you're a top player, but taking into consideration, a guy like Jimmy Rollins wasn't a home run hitter, but he was a base stealer. Well, bad example. He does hit home runs, but other guys that aren't the home run hitters that were base stealers were, Ryan Howard was never going to steal you 100 bases, but he was going to hit 30, 40, 50 home runs a season. So taking that into consideration for a guy, so he doesn't have to hit all of them.
Ryan Howard, man, I don't think people. I think people forget how good prime Ryan Howard was. Like he was so good. Oh, Jesus, I'm just sweating thinking about it. Like
So we're in the home stretch, boys. We're at the end of our show. Let's close it out with your favorite baseball movie quote. It could be a one-liner. It could be like a soliloquy if you got that. Throwing it around the room. Chris, what you got for us?
I'll let you guys go. You go first.
All right. Yeah, I was kind of I was stuck between two. The first one was Major Leagues. He hits like Mays, but he runs like shit. That was always
Backwards. You said that backwards.
okay. Correct me. I don't
like he runs like Mays,
but he hits like shit. That's what I said.
You
He
said
runs like Mays. He hits like shit.
I could have swore you said he runs like shit. But all right.
Okay. I don't really care. That was one. But the other one was you're killing me, Smalls. And truthfully, not many people, but it's one of those. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with it, but I think they were talking about marshmallows, right? S'mores.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's where it was. Yep. Talking about s'mores.
But I think that whole thing, it was like they were telling the story about the beast, and for me that's like the innocence of baseball. It's loving it, it's getting into it, it's like talking about it with your buddies, and they're just hanging out, eating and just making s'mores, shooting the shit. And that to me was just like, that's so cool. I know everyone loves the Field of Dreams stuff, but it's stories about ghosts and crap. That's weird.
Yeah. So mine comes from Bull Durham, which is one of the most accurate baseball movies ever. And it's when the manager walks into the dugout, or not the dugout, the clubhouse, and in the showers because the guys are struggling, throws the bats, calls them a bunch of lollygaggers, and then just explains to them it's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball. You got it?
8 and 16.
Right.
How'd we ever win 8?
It's a miracle. But it's, to me, like, especially now that I've started coaching my son and kids, like, I always try to bring myself back to that quote and just remember that it's a simple game. You just throw the ball, hit the ball, and catch the ball. So there's no complications to it. So that's always
I mean, you sit there and you think, like, obviously you look at it differently because, you're a coach now. It's part of what it's one of the reasons we're on at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And, I went back and forth with mine. I had Bull Durham as one of mine. We have the one clip. Yeah. I'm not gonna play that clip because that's just a terrible clip. But I do like the Major League one. Strike. Just MFR out. But like, if you just had to guess, what you think my favorite quote is? What do you think it is? Like, I want you to guess what you think my favorite quote is. Like, if you just had to guess.
I mean, there's like so many baseball movies that I know you quote. Like I could see like, I was thinking about, he's the greatest that ever lived. I was thinking about going, there's no crying in baseball. I was thinking of all those, but to me, like, I would think you would go with Major Leagues for some reason. I really do. And I'm not sure. Like, there are so many classic lines in Major Leagues. Like, remember where they're all sitting at the table? They're all sitting at the table, and he goes, this guy here is dead. He goes, cross him off then. When they're trying to
talk about who to invite the kid.
Yeah.
Most of these guys have
where you want. Hey, you want to coach the Indians? Hold on, I'm trying to sell tires on line 2. I'll get back to you. But no, this is my favorite quote.
Go fair, stay foul.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Baseball.
That is my favorite quote.
You just go back and you look at last season. Like look at Michael Lorenzen's no hitter. It was Weston Wilson hits a home run in his first major league at bat, and we're like, oh my god, this is the biggest story in the world. Nah, there's something else that topped it, and that's just just seeing like his teammates and everything else, and just standing there with Lorenzen, and they're cheering on Wilson at the end of the game too because he hit his first home run, but then you just have that, and that will always be one of my most favorite quotes. It was always anything from For Love of the Game, but I thought Jeremy, I thought you were gonna do this one.
Yeah? From what I hear, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a fucking boat.
That was
It's so funny. It's so funny that you were gonna. It's so funny you did that. It's so funny you did Moneyball because I was gonna do he gets on base. He gets on base.
What happens when I point to you? Like there's so many. Like, if you go back and you look at that movie, there's so many good quotes. When he's talking to Scott Hatterberg, is first base hard? No. He asked the coach. Yes. Like there's it's such a good movie and so many good quotes. That's like the serious baseball movie quote movie. Major League is your funny baseball quote movie. Like there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But what happens when I point to you?
You talk.
Giambi gets on base. Giambi gets on first, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there were a lot to choose from. I'm glad you guys had some real good ones there. Gentlemen, as always, that is the end of episode 2 for the Hall of Fame Club podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Keith Newman. I'm not introducing. You guys could do yourselves, okay?
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Fuzzy.
Have a great one. We'll catch you next week.